Might have heard a lot of news recently on Google releasing Gemini 3, and alongside with it, they released their newest and most advanced image model, Nano Banana Pro, which has blown up in the internet due to its insanely realistic and accurate results when it comes to image generation. Possibly one of the best and cheapest image generation models that are out in the market today, and it's the same model that I used to create these 3 images. And I generated them using an automation that I built in N8N that's able to create them through a chat interface like Telegram, and that has access to different models, like their text-to-image model, which can be used to create images from scratch, but also very useful to create designs like infographics if you're trying to make like a post showing some data. Then it also has the ability to use the image-to-image model, in which the user gives an image as a reference alongside with a prompt to generate an image. This can be mostly used to alter existing images or sort of like a quick and easy Photoshop tool. And then we have a multiple image-to-image model, in which the user provides multiple images, provides a prompt for context, and the model creates an image from scratch. My name is Josue, and if you're new to the channel, I post a lot of content regarding AI and automation and teach you how to build these systems, as well as provide you the resources you need. And so in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can build this system right here, which, as I said, it allows you to create images from text, from an image, from multiple images, all through a chat interface using Telegram. So let's dive in. I'm going to start off by breaking down the text to image, then I'm going to test it. And a quick thing to note is that these are going to be very similar, although some of them look longer. The image generation process is going to be very, very similar. But let's start off down here. So we're going to start with an on-form submission, and this is how we're going to do it. We're going to build out a form in which we're going to be taking different parameters and inputs from the user. The first one, we're going to be giving it the option to choose what action they want to perform. So we're going to have text to image to image, and multiple images to an image. This is going to be a required field. Then we're going to add a text field in which they're going to be able to write their prompt. This is going to also be required because no matter what option they choose, they're always going to need a prompt. Then we're going to have 3 different file fields in which they're going to be able to upload an image, but depending on whatever they choose up here, each of those images are going to be used. And then there's one last field down here that's called chat ID, that this is going to hold an information of the chat that's taking place in Telegram, and that's why we're hiding it. And I'm going to show you guys a trick that you can build URLs when the agent is sending this form to the user to gather the information, process it, create an image, and then being able to send the image back to the user in that specific chat. And so I'm going to unpin this, and I'm going to execute it just to show you guys how the form looks like. So this is what the form looks like. This is an N8N form. You might see that it looks a little bit prettier and a little bit more fancy. And the reason for this is because I actually added, so I'm gonna stop listening. So I actually added down here a custom form styling. If you scroll down to the regular form now, you're gonna see that there's, by default, some formatting and styling code. That's the normal N8N form. And so what I did is I talked to Claude and I told him to generate me some code in order to make my form look prettier. And that's just what I pasted in here. Also at the top, I have some HTML. Claude also generated this HTML. And what I'm doing here, I'm naming it title, but really what this is just instructions on how to use the form. So that's why when I click on execute the form and it pops up, we have the title. See a typo over here, but it's important to note that these are the instructions that are written in that HTML. So those are the 2 outstanding things of this form. But other than that, you can see we can select just one of these. We can write a prompt and we can upload files. So I'm actually going to go ahead, and since I want to start off by teaching you guys how the text to image works, I'm going to give it a prompt and hit submit. So using ChatGPT, I generated a prompt that I'm going to be sending to Nano Banana, and this is going to be creating an infographic about the AI bubble. So why don't we go ahead and give that a test. I'm going to paste the prompt in here. Now we're going to let that run. Once it finishes running, I'm going to show you the result, and then we're going to take a look at how the setup works. Okay, it looks like it's done running. Let's take a look. We are going to view it. And there we have it. Understanding the AI bubble, what it is, why worry, what could happen, signals to watch. And you can see that this is already very, very good. Like, it even provides some good graphics as well as very clear text. And this is why this model is game changer. And the text to image can also be used just to generate anything out of your imagination. If you want to like create a meme or create a funny picture, whatever you want, it can also help with that. But let's go ahead and break down how this is working. So first of all, we're receiving all the information from the form. Then we have a switch node in here in which we're going to be routing it depending on whatever they chose on that first question. So what action would you like to perform? Text to image. And that's what we're doing here. We're mapping this field, what action would you like to perform, into here. And whenever it's equal to text to image, then it's going to go down that path. We're doing the same thing for image to image, multiple images to image. And I'm just renaming the outputs just so that it looks a little bit clearer on what each path is. So very simple stuff. Then up here, we have a step that's called enhance prompt. Since I use ChatGPT to create the prompt, there's not really much change that this is going to make, but the main purpose of this is to make prompts a little bit better for an image model. And what this allows the user to do is to provide maybe a little bit more vague prompt in the form, or maybe something with a little bit less detail, or maybe their ideas in a different order that might not be the best when sent into an image model directly. So this is taking care of it. So let's open it up. This is just a message a model step from OpenAI. I connected my credential. If you don't know how to connect your credential, you're going to head to platform.openai.com. Then you're going to go to your settings. And first thing you want to make sure is that you have some credits. So if you don't have any money in here, put at least like $5, and that's going to be enough for this case. And then what you're going to do is you're going to go into API keys, create a new secret key, give it a name. That's going to give you a key. You're going to copy that, head back here into N8N, and you're just going to add it. As you see here, just going to paste that in here, give it a name, save, and you'll be all good to go. We're messaging a model, like I said, and then we're going to be choosing a model for this model. Since it's a very simple operation, we're just going to be using 4.1 mini. And now we're going into the prompt. I like to provide a system prompt, which is going to be the general prompt. Very, very simple, one sentence prompt. So this is going to say you're an intelligent prompting assistant. As I said, very short. Then we're going to provide a user prompt, which is going to be the main instructions. So in here, you can see briefly, we have that this is a prompt optimization assistant for text-to-text image generation. We're giving it what its task is, different responsibilities. Like I said, organize ideas logically, adding helpful details, use descriptive language. We have a what to do and what not to do. What not to do, I added, don't invent like subjects, objects, characters, and things like that that might badly impact the result that the user is looking for. So very simple stuff here. And quickly, I just want to say that we're doing the same thing in every single model. So have enhanced prompt, enhanced prompt, enhanced prompt. The only difference is that the instructions change a little bit when it goes to image or images, multiple images to image. Just keep that in mind. Then we're going to be creating the image right away, because in text, we just need the prompt. So for this, we're going to be using Key.ai. Before we jump in how to set it up, I want to quickly break down what Key.ai is. So right over here, going to Key.ai, that's KIE.ai. You're going to land in a page like this. And what you want to do is you want to create an account. But quickly, what Key.ai is a platform or like a marketplace of different models that they offer from different providers such as Gemini, OpenAI. Like they have Sora, but they also have Nano Banana and VO3, which is a video model by Gemini at a much lower price. So for example, here we're going to be using Nano Banana Pro. So if I can try it, it's going to open up the documentation on how to use this model through the API. And so here you can see that this is the Nano Banana Pro model. And then you can see the pricing is 24 credits per image, which is $0.12 per image, or 12 cents, which is about 20% cheaper than the official price. And then they give you an interface where you can test each single model or each single operation. For example, here, similar to my form, you can enter a prompt or you can add multiple images. You can also mess around with the aspect ratio. And as you can see with the prompt that they gave over here about a comic poster, this is what he came up with. And so this is great, but maybe you don't want to do it through their website. You might want to build something like I did, in which you can do it through Telegram or just through an in-app form. Then you might want to use their API. So for that, you want to check over here their API documentation. And if you don't know what an API is, it's basically a way for us to connect multiple softwares together. In this case, we're going to be connecting Key.ai with N8N. So very simple documentation. They only have two operations here. Create a task, which is we send the prompt, we send the images, it starts generating the image. And then they have query task, which is asking the model for that specific task if it's completed yet. So we're going to start off by creating a task. What you want to do over here is you want to go over to where it says CURL or curl. This is going to be very easy for you to set up your own request. You want to copy that. And I've already set it up here, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it from scratch. So you're going to look up an HTTP request. Why? Because if I search up Key.ai, it's not a native integration provided by N8N. So we have to do it through the HTTP request. And I'm just going to disconnect this because we don't want it there. And what you're going to do is you want to click import curl, paste that in there, import, and this is going to pre-fill pretty much everything that you're going to have to then edit to your own needs. So first, this is going to be a post method because we're sending information to the model. This is going to be our endpoint, and then we're going to be sending some headers. In this case, it's going to be your API key. And I'm going to show you guys a way that you can do this a little bit easier so that you're not repeating this step every single time. So we're going to turn this off and you're going to click here on authentication, generic credential type. And since this was a header, we're going to do a header auth. And this is going to give you the ability to create a new credential and enter your key in here. So what you want to do is you want to go back into key, then click on API market. And then here on the side, you're going to see a tab that says API key. Click on that. You're going to be able to create an API key. So once you create it, you give it a name. So let's say test, just to show you guys. I'm going to be deleting it. but you want to copy it, go back to Nano Banana. And then if you remember in the documentation, the way that we do the call is by sending an authorization and then bearer your API key. So that's exactly what we need to write in here. So authorization, then in the value bearer, so I'm spelling bearer, space, paste your key, give this a name, test, save, and you should be all good to go. I'm going to delete it because I don't need it, but you get the idea. So now we're gonna get into the body and what's being sent, but for that, let me go into the other one since I've already filled it up. So this is what your body's going to look like. This should be turned on by default if you use the curl, but when you open it, we're going to be able to choose a model. We're going to be sending an input which contains the prompt, aspect ratio, resolution, and output format. In this case, the model is Nano Banana Pro. Our input is going to be our prompt. That's the only thing that's going to change, unless if you want to change the aspect ratio, you can go back into Key, see what options they have as well for the resolution and the output format. But for prompt, we're basically going to grab the output that the previous node is giving us, and we're just going to map it in there. So I'm just going to paste it down here. And you're going to see that it looks a little bit different than what I have up here. And that's because I have this function that says json.stringify. As you see, the difference here is that this one adds like a /n whenever there's a space and takes care of different characters that can mess up your JSON syntax. As opposed to over here, it's just how the agent output it. So what you want to do is just add json.stringify, close that all in parentheses, and then you'll be all good to go. When you call this endpoint, you're immediately going to get a success, but this is not a success meaning that the image was generated, but that the task started. So we need to use the other endpoint, which was query a task, in order to check if it's done or not. So for that, we're going to be entering a loop, which is this right here, in which we're going to be, first of all, we're going to wait 5 seconds. We're going to check. Then we're going to have sort of like a filter to see if it's completed. If it's not, we're going to wait again, and then we're going to check again until it's completed. So for example, in this case, it took 16 times until it was completed. And quickly going to break down here. So same thing for the query a task, you can also scroll down and you're going to find the URL somewhere, I believe, or it's just this. So very simple. Copy that and paste it, but pretty much everything you're going to be needing is this endpoint. You're not going to need to write your authorization because you already set up your credentials. So all you got to do is click on generic auth type, hit header, click your credential, and then send query parameters. Our query parameters are going to be just a task ID. And we're going to be mapping that from the wait, which is pretty much just copying over what the task ID is coming out of the create an image node. So pretty much just grab this, paste it in there, and that's going to take care of it. Then we have a filter, which we're using a switch node, which acts the same way. So what the output of our get an image is going to look like is going to look something like this. And we want to check for if our image is generated. So the only thing that we're going to be checking here is going to be the state of the task. So if it's success, it means that it was generated. If it says generating, it's just generating. And if it's failed, it means there was an issue. This could be that it timed out, or maybe you don't have enough credits in your account. But what you want to do is just grab the state and map it in here. If it's equal to success, generating, or fail, it's going to give us 3 different routes over here. If it's success, we're going to continue on the flow in which we're going to get that image, and you're going to be able to see it like I have it over here. If it's generating, we're going to look back. We're going to go back to the wait and check again after 5 seconds. If it's failed, nothing's going to happen. Then we get the result, which is just going to be the URL. Once this succeeds, we're going to get a result JSON, which is this right here. This includes the URL of that image. So what we're doing here is we're just adding it into a variable that's called image. And we're doing json.parse because we want to parse this right here to only get the URL. So what I did is I mapped this in here and I did a function json.parse, and that just gave me the URL. Now, if I open this URL, it's just going to open the image in a new tab, which is okay. But what if I want to send it through Telegram? I need it in N8N. So for that, you just send it through an HTTP request, a get method, and you just map the image, which is just the URL. And what this does is that it downloads the image. So you can see it here. We can view it, and then we can send it through Telegram. Like I said, I'm going to get into that in a little bit. So for the image to image, I thought we'd do something kind of funny. So in this case, I'm going to be replacing this person on the right with Sam Altman. As you guys know, Elon and Sam Altman don't get along pretty well. But what I want to do is I want to create an image of them shaking hands like they get along. And so that's what we're going to do in here. I'm going to execute the workflow, choose image to image, give it a prompt, replace the guy on the right with Sam Altman shaking hands with Elon Musk. I'm going to choose the file, open it and hit submit. I'm going to close this up. And before we hit the loop that we already have up here, you're going to see that I have some steps in here for which I'm going to break down in a little bit. We'll just give it a minute until it gets created and we can see the result. There we have it. I don't know if he's actually that short, but I guess he just replaced the face on that other guy. So it's a little funny. Anyways, so let's break down what happened. So first, I'm going to skip this part right here for now, and I'm going to jump into how the call was made. So edit image. You can see this looks exactly the same as the text to text, but now over here, we have an extra thing, which is an image input, which can be an array. So in case that you're doing multiple images to an image, you're going to be sending multiple images. In this case, we're just sending one. And so that's what our image input parameter is. We're just sending an image URL. So if I were to open this Google Drive link, then we'll see it's just a link of an image, which is the one that I submitted through the form. There we have it. And so that's what we're doing over here. We're basically uploading a file into Google Drive, and then we're sharing the file, which is basically just making it public so that we can have an URL that anyone can access and see that file. And this is a very good way to do this because I see other people, the way they do it is they use different platforms or third-party platforms that do hosting of an image online, which is basically what we're doing through Google Drive, but they charge you for that. But Google Drive should be okay, and you shouldn't have to pay for anything. So let's go into it. So first thing we're going to see when we submit the form is that we get a binary tab over here. And what that binary is just going to be the image that we uploaded. And then we're going to have a JSON, which is the rest of the form. So like you see the prompt and our selection of the action. So for example, here we had image to image. That's why I went over there. And so then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be uploading that file into your Google Drive. So in order to do that, you want to connect your Google Drive credentials over here or your Google Cloud credentials. This is a little bit tricky and can be a little bit of a technical process or setup. I would recommend if it's your first time doing this, go look it up on YouTube, how to set up your Google Cloud credentials in N8N, and they'll guide you through it. I'm not going in depth in here because it's a little bit out of the scope of this video and it would take too long. So your resource is going to be file, upload, and then input data field name must match whatever is being received by the form, which is image one. So this and this must match. Then I give it a name, which is just Nano Banana image. And then I created a folder where I'm uploading all these pictures to. So once you upload the image, you're going to see that it's going to give you an output, which will include an ID. This is important in order to share the file. So these are all actions that are native to N8N. So if I search up Drive, we're going to see Google Drive, share file. That's what we're using over here. So I press on that. It's just going to open up, and then you're going to map your ID in here. So you're going to choose by ID, drag your ID from upload a file, put it in there. And then it's important that your permissions are reader and type anyone, because this is what allows us to be able to publicly host the image. And that's just going to give you like a success message for your output. Then what we want to do is we want to generate the URL in order to be able to access this image publicly. Because even though I can use the URL that comes out here, like this web view link, you're going to see it takes us to Google's interface in which it appears like we're logged in. We have all these other options, but really we just want like the raw image link. And so in order for you to do that, you need to copy this URL, which is drive.usercontent.google.com/download, then the ID and the file ID and export view. So if I were to open this now, you're going to see that it's not opening it in the Google interface. As you see, it's just a website with an image, which is what we need in order to make a call in order to send it to the model. So if you download the template in the description, then this is what you're going to get. Pretty much, you're just getting the ID from the upload a file node, putting it over here where it says ID, and then you should be all good to go. Then, like I already explained, we're going to be sending the image with the prompt into the model. One thing I forgot to mention here was the enhance prompt step, which is very similar. The prompt is very, very similar. The only thing that changes, you see it says image to image instead of text to image, and a couple different things here, but nothing too significant. You're going to have the prompt if you download it from my resources. So it gets sent, same thing. We're going to get a success. We're going to wait for that. And we're going to be using the get task endpoint in order to see if it has finished yet. So there's that. Same thing here, same logic. Over here, same thing. We're getting the URL. We're downloading it. And that's what we get over here. So pretty good. Now let's go into multiple images to an image. So this is going to be very, very similar to what we're doing up here, which one extra step, which is this code over here, which I'm going to get into right now. We'll just give it a test first. Cool. So I just ran this and I'm going to show you guys the result that I got. So I found a picture from Martin Garrix, and what I wanted to do is to show Sam Altman and Elon Musk next to him in a festival, which is very random, but I just want to show you guys what it would look like. So you can see very realistic. A lot of stuff from the original image is actually being preserved, like, and all the details that are being added from like Elon and Sam Altman are very, very spot on. So let's go back into the images that I inputted. So in the form, the first image was just Martin Garrix with a lasso, and then, okay, maybe not the best picture for Elon, but this is one that I found very quickly. And then one for some Altmans, and you can see their outfits are pretty much the same. Maybe Elon looks a little bit older here, more realistic. But quickly breaking down how this works. So obviously we now have 3 images, and also our option is multiple images to image. That's why it's going down this road. Now we have a code in JavaScript, and what this code is doing is basically separating those 3 files into separate files or separate items inside n8n. As you can see, the switch is passing one item, which includes all 3 images. We don't really want to do that. What we want to do is we want to separate them into separate files so that we can individually upload them into Google Drive and add their permissions. So that's what we're doing in here. As you can see, now I have 3 separate items, which means I can loop over them, which we're not really using a loop. All we're doing is we added a route up here in which we're going to be sharing those files individually. If you see over here, this run 3 times, 3 different items, 1, 2, 3. Same as over here, we uploaded 3 separate files. And now I don't want to create 3 different images. I just want to create one. So in order to do that, we're going to aggregate all those file URLs so that we can send them together in our call to Key. So here in aggregate, we're just choosing what we're going to be aggregating, which is the ID from upload a file. As you can see, now we get an array with 3 different IDs, which are the different IDs from our Google Drive images. Then we create 3 separate image URLs. So image 1, image 2, and image 3. Only thing I did was I mapped this into each one of these separately. Now we get 3 different variables, which their corresponding file ID. Now we have a prompt enhancer, similar to the other ones. We're changing, this is an image-to-image generation, but in this case, we're providing multiple existing images to combine or merge them into a single output, which is what we're doing. So with that, we get a little better of a prompt. Now we're sending it to Key. We're using the exact same endpoint. If you recall, I mentioned that image input is in array, so you can input multiple images. We're inputting those 3 images in here. Then we're entering that loop to check if it's succeeded. Once it's succeeded, we get one result as our image, which we then download inside n8n. Now we can view it over here. And so that pretty much covers everything that has to do with generating the images using Nano Banana model. Now I want to show you guys how you can integrate it into Telegram. So this is cool, and you can do it through your own n8n instance like I'm doing it right now. Let's say if you're on the road and you might want to create images using your phone through more like a chat interface that connects through this, and this is what we're doing in Telegram. So that's what I have down here. It's a very, very, very simple agent. Basically, I have a trigger in which I'm receiving messages from Telegram. If you don't know how to set up your Telegram credential, basically you have to create a bot or a chat interface for this agent, which is going to give you an API token. In order to do that, you need to head over to BotFather. Then from Telegram, hit launch BotFather. Once you hit start bot, it's going to open Telegram. This is going to give you the ability to create a new bot. So in order to create a new bot, you need to hit new bot. It's going to tell you to give it a name. Here I gave it Nano Banana 123 bot, and that gave me an API token. And that's the token you're going to be using over here. That's what I have. And it's going to open you a chat interface. So for me, it's this one right here. See, I've been playing around with it for a little bit, but let me actually clear it up. Now hit start. So if I was to execute this node itself, if I say hi, you're gonna see we receive that as a message over here. Hi. We get a chat ID, which is going to be very important. Now we're going to send that into an AI agent, but really the only thing that the AI agent is going to do is going to send this following message. Hi, I'm the image generation bot to create an image. Please submit your request using the following form. And the form is just a link. The link that I'm sending is my production URL for the form. So if you click on the form over here, you have a production URL. This is going to be activated once you activate your workflow, and it's going to start working. And one thing to note is that I have this field name called chat ID, which is a hidden field. This is where we're going to be passing the chat ID, for which whenever the model generates an image and it gets all the way over here, we can send it to a specific chat ID, which is the chat ID that submitted the form initially. So what the agent's doing over here is filling up that URL and adding a query parameter to the URL. So everything that goes after a question mark in a URL means a query parameter or something that's being filled up through the URL. In this case, we're pre-filling the chat ID. This is matching the name of the form element. And what we're passing is just the chat ID that we get from when we receive the message. So if I were to execute this with that message, or just say hi again, you're going to see it's going to send me a URL. And if you take a look, it has this at the end, chat ID and the ID of this specific chat. So if I click on it, it's not going to work because my workflow is not activated. But if I go back, I hit save and I activate it. And now I click on this web form. You can see it opens in a new tab, and now it lets me submit something. So let's try it one more time. I'm just going to do a text and image for it to be quick. So please generate me an image of Elon Musk and Sam Altman in karate suits fighting each other. make it very realistic. When I hit submit, the form has been submitted. If I go back into my workflow, you can see that it's running right now. So we're gonna wait for that, and then we're gonna check out the results. The results are gonna be popping up here in the chat interface for Telegram. And there we have it. And there you go. So now I'm not seeing it through the N8N workflow itself, but I'm seeing it through here in Telegram. So if I would like to submit another form, I can say hi again, and you're gonna get that form again. If you notice, it's just the exact same link. So really you can just press on this link one more time and just resubmit the form, and you will be all good to go. So yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Very cool stuff. Definitely gonna play around with this model a little more in the future. And in this case, I'm just using the desktop Telegram, but you can use the Telegram app on your phone and you'll be able to use this for your own needs. And there's multiple use cases for this. I think the infographic one is one that's pretty good, especially if you post on platforms like LinkedIn. If you're posting about statistics or news, then it might be very helpful to give it a shot on that and maybe create an automation that uses Key.ai in order to create this infographics on a schedule. So yeah, if you found this video helpful, please consider subscribing to my channel. I'll be posting more content like this in the future. Like I mentioned before, there's going to be a link in the description where you can find this exact blueprint, which will already have the prompts as well as all the configurations you need to do. Only thing you have to do is replace your API keys. And I hope you guys have a good day. Peace.